Vertical productions are here and they're here to stay, whether you like it or not, and that is facts. So in this video, I want to give you my insights on how to level up your vertical productions for your clients, make the most out of it, avoid some mistakes that I've done in the past. So more on this after the intro. My name is Damien Cooper and welcome to Monkey Pixels. Yes, we as filmmakers, we like to shoot cinematic videos in nice cinescope aspect ratios meant for the big screen. But this is not always possible if you're doing client work, and client work is what mostly pays the bill. And you can still further your clients' businesses, help them improve by shooting vertical content, and therefore also improve your own business by doing so. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest ad campaigns that we have ever shot, and that was this year, was mostly vertical content. And that was also the highest budget we had on most of our productions. So my first tip on how to improve your vertical productions is to actually shoot vertical. And that sounds pretty duh, but it's actually something that I've seen a lot of people not do. They just put the camera on a tripod, shoot horizontal, and then just crop it in the middle. And here you lose a lot of resolution, you lose that crispness, and it's also just an extra step that you need to do in post. So why not just prep your camera for vertical shooting in the first place? And my tips on that, if your camera doesn't support it natively, like our C70 does, which actually comes in really handy on vertical shoots, is to get a camera cage, because then you can mount it however you like. And that is for a tripod, but you can also rig your camera up for gimbal work in vertical mode or for handheld mode. And there's a lot of cage solutions out there that let you just put a top handle on top of your cage when shooting vertically, or even a side handle, and that makes vertical shooting so much more convenient. My number 2 tip, and that kind of ties in with my number 1 tip, and that is to know your exact resolution and aspect ratio that you want to deliver in. Because when I shoot for these YouTube videos, for example, I'm actually recording in 17:9, but then it ends up on YouTube in 2:1. So I'm basically shooting in a different resolution. And since framing for vertical video is a lot tougher in my opinion, you should really set your camera to exactly what you want to put out. And in most cases, I would say this is 9:16 or 1920 by 3840. So set your camera to that resolution, because then you don't have any unwanted crop later in post when you put it into your NLE and actually need to put it into 9:16, and then maybe you cut off some clients' ears, which you didn't want to do in the first place. So know your aspect ratio, know your resolution, and set it up in camera directly. And here's my number 3 tip, and that is leave space for social media. And I will get into this a little bit later, but overall, like I already said, it's quite tough to frame for vertical video, especially if you have a one-person explainer video, an interview, because if you want to use the rule of third, you need to push in a lot, and then you have a nicely framed interview setup, but then oftentimes you cut off their arms, and that doesn't really look good. And the next problem is a lot of the social media sites you upload to, they have a lot of overlays. On TikTok, you have all these hashtags and likes and subscribe buttons. On Reels, it's also different where you actually watch that reel. Do you watch it on your feed? Because then it's cropped, but then if you click on it, then you have a different aspect ratio. So you need to leave space. So if you zoom out a little, you do have that unwanted headspace and you have a little bit too much on the bottom, but that is actually not that big of an issue. And it's definitely nicer to have a little bit too much headroom, and you have lots of space for all the social media hashtags and subscribe buttons, but also you don't want to cut off your content. If you have text in there, you have a lower third in there or something, and then somebody watches it on their phone and they can't see it because it's cropped out, this is an absolute no-go. So leave space, test it before so you know which platform you're actually going to upload to, and rather have a little bit too much space than just cutting off important content. Speaking of important texts and overlays, here's a quick shout out to Motion VFX. And no, this video isn't sponsored by Motion VFX, but we have been using Motion VFX for the longest time, and it's been an absolute lifesaver to level up the production on our vertical videos, especially for this big app campaign that I was just talking about. And if you're a Final Cut or even a DaVinci Resolve user, you need to check them out. There's a link down in the description below, because most of their text plugins, their overlays, even their pre-rendered animations are made for vertical as well as horizontal use. And on this big app campaign, we shot vertically as well as horizontally equally, and then we had a streamlined look for all of these videos because we could just use the same plugins and use them for our vertical videos, copy and paste them over to our horizontal videos, and just modify them as we liked, and they worked for both flawlessly. Again, check them out down in the description below. The next thing that I'm also stressing out if you want to have an ease of workflow, especially if you shoot a lot of videos, is choose the right file format. A lot of cameras have different kind of file formats, and this also depends on what kind of editing software you use and what kind of computer system you use. We shoot on Canon and we have different kind of flavors to choose from. Number one will be MP4, we also have XFAVC, and we also have RAW. But I would always choose MP4 for online vertical content because it's so much easier to handle. And what do I mean by that? If I'm choosing XFAVC or even RAW, then the image goes onto my computer and it's not rotated. So I have to rotate it myself. It's a cool feature in macOS that you can actually rotate videos just in the Finder itself, which doesn't work for XFAVC or RAW. It does work for MP4, and on our Canon cameras it's actually pretty cool because if you shoot in MP4, it already rotates themselves. So you don't have to do anything. And that might be different with other cameras, that might also be different on a Windows computer. So I urge you to test the right format with your computer and your editing program, because if you shoot 100+ videos, especially if you shoot multicam sequences and then you need to sort them and then you need to put them into your editor and also manually rotate all of them, this is a lot of time that could have been saved by just testing what format on your camera works the best in combination with your editor and your operating system. My next big tip, and that also sounds very obvious, is treat it as any other production. And a lot of people they don't like vertical content and they associate it with some people running around with a phone and just like, yeah, why not just shoot it on the phone and, like not put that much effort in it. But if you want to get these big ad campaigns and if you want to make the big bucks, so to speak, then you need to give it your all. So even for our vertical productions, we had multiple cameras, we had lots of light, great audio, a great location that also needs to fit your vertical environment, because a lot of the times we also think of a horizontal shoot, so maybe the background doesn't fit our vertical standards. So here, make sure that you also have a lot of space on top that looks good when choosing your location. And again, give it your all, bring all your A-list equipment and light it like you would for a really high budget horizontal commercial. And here's my last tip, but this is also a very important one, and that is know your audience. Because if you upload specifically for TikTok and Reels and YouTube Shorts, you need to adjust your content a little, because the attention span on these apps is so much quicker and lower than on, let's say, a YouTube long form horizontal content video like this one. You need to grab your audience within the first 3 seconds. And if you fail to do so, they move on to the next video. So you need to just have a hook in the beginning of all of your videos and just adjust the content a little bit, because these longer form contents usually don't work on these platforms. So first couple of seconds, grab your audience, grab their attention, and then you can deliver the goods. So there you have it. These were my important tips to level up your vertical productions. Did I miss one? Then let me know down in the comments below, and also comment down below if you think that vertical is here to stay, or if you just refuse to do so because this is not the cinema way. Let me know. And since you're already here, check out one of these videos because YouTube thinks you might really enjoy these, and subscribe to the channel for more. And I hope to see you on the next one.